left the girls of June severely broken-hearted, saluted father dear, kissed me darling mother, drank a pint of beer, my grief and tears to smother, then off to reap the corn, leave where I was born, cut a stout black thorn to banish ghost and goblin, brand new pair of brogues, rattling all the bars, frightening all the dogs on the rocky road to Dublin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hunt there and turn her down the rocky road and all the ways to Dublin. Whack Fallow Del Road. She began to bump a little bit, bump, 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 just a little bit. Oh, she made a tremendous hit when she kicked our villain in the front against the actor's guide as she took running jumps, and a boy in the gallery cried, "Oh, cool! What ho! She bumps me, me." Where I lived at the seaside once, a girl lived out of sight, and one fine morning she went to bathe in a caustic pink and white. A crowd of chaps stood on the shore as she waded in the blue, and everyone was anxious there to see what she would do. She began to bump a little bit, bump, bump, just a little bit. At first she was bashful as she could be, till she got used to the rolling sea. Then up and down the little peddler jumps, and the men all shouting the golden show. But oh, she bumps. She began to bump a little bit, bump, bump, just a little bit. At first she was bashful as she could be, till she got used to the rolling sea. Then up and down the little peddler jumps, and the men all shouting the golden show. But oh, she bumps. We have had the most wonderful 8 years now, is it? Goodness.
8 years.
Exploring music in the works of James Joyce. So the title of this lecture, To Have Dublin in Song, is really appropriate because we have been singing these wonderful songs that Joyce, the great Irish writer James Joyce, peppers his works with. There's almost 1,000 references to songs in Finnegan's Wake. There's about 700 in Ulysses alone. So the people of Dublin, the streets of Dublin, are alive with song. Everybody is singing at all times, or they're thinking about a song. So all his characters, through all of his works. And in a way, sitting here for the last hour in the museum, it's like this museum is Joyce's mind. He would have constructed it and reconstructed it over and over again. His works are full of newspaper clippings, sheet music, bells, whistles, Nelson's Pillar. It's like the little museum of Dublin is Joyce's mind. That's what I feel like this evening. So the first few songs, The Rocky Road to Dublin, those lovely seaside girls, and What Ho She Bumps, are from Ulysses. But they appear again, Rocky Road to Dublin, Rocky Road to Dublin, or all the different ways he spells and uses the word Dublin, dabbling, doubling, doubling, Dublin. They're all a homage to this wonderful city that we are in. So we're going to continue on, moving as his characters do through the city. And we will continue with two songs that are particular favourites of ours. The second one is the Ballad of Persse. That is a song that Joyce wrote himself, and it appears in that great dreamlike novel Finnegan's Wake that I'm sure you've all read a number of times.
And understood.
So this gives us a little snapshot of Finnegan's Wake in one song, which is kind of handy. and the second song, it's about like the song Finnegan's Wake itself. The Ballad of Persse is the fall of man and his resurrection. And he's done a scurrilous deed in the Phoenix Park, but you'll hear about that in the song. But we'll start off with another favourite of ours, Oh Oh Antonio. So feel free to join in.
It comes in a few places.
And Rabiati, the Italian ice cream seller, appears throughout Ulysses. So if there's any Italians, I'm terribly sorry I'm going to offend you now with my very bad Italian accent. So picture us at the beginning of night time. red light district at the Monto, and
Selling ice cream.
all you need, apparently, on your way into nighttime is an ice cream. There's Rabiati right at the entrance. Ice cream!
Get your ice
Ice cream!
cream.
Anybody like ice cream? Ice cream. Lovely. In quaint native dress, an Italian maid was deep in distress as the streets she strayed, searching in every part for her bold sweetheart and his ice cream cart. Her English was bad, it cannot be denied, and so to herself in Italian she cried, "Oh, Antonio, he should gone away, left me alone, more on my own. I want to meet him with his new sweetheart. Then up will go Antonio with his ice cream cart." So sad were the plight of this fair young lass, she'd faint at the sight of an ice cream glass. She dreamed nigh every day he'd come back to stay, then he'd fade away. Her old hurdy-gurdy each day she'd parade, and this she would sing to the tunes that it played. "Oh, Antonio, he should gone away, left me alone, all on my own. I want to meet him with his new sweetheart. Then up will go Antonio with his ice cream cart. Oh, Antonio, he should gone away, left me alone, all on my own. I want to meet him with his new sweetheart. Up will go Antonio with his ice cream
Have you heard of one Humpty Dumpty? How he fell with a roll and a rumble, and curled up like Lord Oliver Crumple by the foot of the magazine wall, hung helmet and all. He was one time our king of the castle, now he's kicked about like a rotten old parsnip, and from Green Street he'll be sent by order of his worship to the penal jail of Mountjoy, to the jail of Mountjoy, jail of Mountjoy. He was father of all schemes for to bother us, slow coaches and immaculate contraceptives for the populace, mare's milk for the 6-7 dry Sundays a week, open air love and religious reform, hideous in form. Aaron White says you couldn't manage it. I'll go bail my fine dairyman darling, like the bumping bull of the Cassidys. Your butter is in your horns, his butter's in his horns, butter is horns. Hurrah there now, husty, frosty husty.
Change that short on you.
Ruin the Ran, the king of all Rans.
Balbaccio.
Balbuccio. We had cho-cho-chucks, chairs, chewing gum, the chicken pox of China chambers.
shooting first took the floor with his bucket shop stored in bargain way galore. It was during some freshwater garden pumping, or according to the nursing mirror while admiring the monkeys, that our heavyweight Hayden Humphrey made bold and made to will. Will, what does she do? The general's lost her maiden limb. He ought to blush for himself, the old hay-headed philosopher, for to go and shove himself that way on top of her. Big Abby's the crux of the catalogue of our antediluvial zoo. Messrs. Billing and Kuno as larks good as new. He was chanting by Wellington's monument, oratorious hippopotamans, when some bugger let down the back trap of the omnibus, and behold, 'tis dead though views and ears, with his rent in his rears, give him 6 years. 'Tis so pity for his innocent poor children, but look out for his Mrs. Legitimate, when that flu gets a grip of old earwicker. Won't there be earwigs on the green, big earwigs on the green, the largest ever you've seen? Suffolk clothes,
Shakes power.
pseudo-duddo,
A mommy Moses.
then we'll have a free trade guilds band and mass meeting, for to salt the brave son of Scandinavia, and we'll bury him down in Oxman's town, along with the devil and days, with the deaf and dumb days and all their remains. And not all the king's men nor his horses will resurrect his corpus, for there's no true spell in Connacht or hell that's able to raise a king, that's able to raise a king.
So we've been to the sea, and then we went to the street, and now we're going to take you into the parlour, a little bit more intimate, to some parlour song. So, I mean, back in the day, everybody used to sing songs round the piano. Why don't we do that anymore? We just watch telly, we watch YouTube, we stream movies, whatever we do. But it used to be the thing that you did of an evening. You sat round and you sang songs. Songs maybe from Moore's Melodies, which was one of the most popular published volumes of music in 1904, actually for a really long time. And it's got loads of great stuff. And it also had my notes in it in case I go off on one, so I'm going to just make sure I get all the right bits in. Yeah, so all the hits of the day would have been in this, which Joyce called Tony Moore's Melodies. But he loved Moore, he called him the national poet, you know, he was really fond of him. But another thing that was really popular at the time, not just Moore, was light opera, which interests me totally, that people would do domestic versions of like all the great arias. They would have their own, you know, I'll sing that, the party piece, you know, which is kind of hard, we don't do that anymore. Well, I do. But yeah, I mean, particularly in stories like The Dead in Dubliners, not only do they sing these arias, but they talk about them. They talk about opera. They talk about who's doing what and who hit the best high C the other night. And you know, it's like it's very much alive to them. And it's also very interesting that there's such a strong Irish element in the popular opera of the day. We had William Wallace's Maritana, Michael Balfe, of course, who was born just around the corner. I think it's called Balfe Street now, Pitt Street then. With his Lily of Killarney, and of course the huge hit of the era, his Bohemian Girl, which everybody kind of remembers Marble Halls from, even if you don't know it, you know somebody who sang it. Your granny, maybe, your mother, your aunts. I don't know, my granny used to sing it, so that's kind of where I found it. But I think it's in our DNA. It's one of those songs that we don't know we know it, but we do. So I'm going to do it now in a minute. It's from Well, it comes up in a lot of places, but it particularly comes up in Dubliners, which I have here. Ah, you've lost my page. It's wrecked. You've lost my page. I was going to just read you the bit that it comes in Clay, just at the end of Clay. Maria sings it. And when she had ended her song, Joe was very much moved. He said that there was no time like the long ago, and no music for him like poor old Balf, whatever other people might say. And his eyes filled up so much with tears that he could not find what he was looking for. And in the end, he had to ask his wife to tell him where the corkscrew was. We'll give it a go anyway. I noticed you all singing along earlier to various tunes. Feel free to do that. Of course, Maria only sings one twice, but I remember the second.
It's such a sad short story play. So we've moved you from the sea and into the streets and the organ grinders and from the parlour. So now we bring you to the music hall. The one that I love, and I always think we should run a competition on Bloom's Day or Bloom's Week, is Bloom is thinking of the Gaiety Theatre in particular and the panto and fantasising about a topical song that he wrote entitled "If Brian Boru Could But Come Back and See Old Dublin Now." So I always thought, commissioned by Michael Gunn, VC of the Gaiety Theatre, 46, 47, 48, 49 South King Street, and to be introduced into the sixth scene, the Valley of the Diamonds, of the second edition, 30th January 1893, of the grand annual Christmas pantomime Sinbad the Sailor, produced by R. Shelton, 26th December 1892, written by Greenleaf Whittier, scenery by George A. Jackson and Cecil Hicks, costumes by Mrs. and Miss Whelan under the personal supervision of Mrs. Michael Gunn, ballets by Jessie Noir, Harlequinade by Thomas Otto, and sung by Nellie Boverist, principal girl. So this is Bloom. He never quite writes it in Ulysses, but the fantasy is there. So I always think maybe we could fantasise about what Brian Boru would think if he did come back and see dear old dirty Dublin now. So two songs that we're going to sing next are Invisibility, which is from the Christmas Gaiety Panto in the Gaiety Theatre just beside us here, which of course has been a favourite and has continued to be a favourite of so many Dubliners. And the song features, right at the beginning of Ulysses, Stephen Dedalus. Of course, we're beside Stephen Dedalus' park, my park, as he calls it, my green, in Portrait of the Artist. So Stephen, right at the beginning of Ulysses, remembers his mother. His mother has just died, and he upset her. He wouldn't pray with her. And his friend Buck Mulligan is teasing him about this. You wouldn't pray with your mother. And he thinks of her and the costumes and the Gaiety pantomime, and he thinks of the song, "I am the boy that can enjoy invisibility." So we'll sing that song, Invisibility, and we'll also sing in honour of anyone who was here at the lecture beforehand, The Man That Broke the Bank at Monte Carlo. A little reference to things that keep coming up again and again in Irish society. So this song was an absolute favourite of Joyce's. So I don't know if anyone can see, but at the end when we move everything out, there's a little image of a hero of mine, Hannah Sheehy Skeffington, over here. Hello, Hannah. And Joyce was a really big pal of Eugene, her brother, and he would attend parties in their house, and his mum, Joyce's mother, his parents were both wonderful musicians. Well, his mother was a wonderful musician, and his dad was this great raconteur and singer. And he learned so many of his songs from his parents. So they would go to the party, and legend has it that the young James Joyce would put on top hat, cane and monocle and perform The Man That Broke the Bank, Monte Carlo. It was a favourite party piece. So we are at a party perhaps singing the rollicking rambling songs of the musical.
I might just get a hat.
Oh yeah,
because you need hats for the musical. They all. Do you have your hat?
I have.
And sure it would be nice to be able to vanish from sight, to be able to stop the whiskey shop till after 11 at night, to consult an attorney and disappear when he speaks of fees, to travel by rail in the limited mail and vanish at tickets' ease. Invisibility, say it's just a thing for me. for the charms of Mademoiselle. She's the darling of my heart. What can I do when with 20 tongues she swears she will be true?
I will be true.
Oh, you will, won't you?
I will. I swear it. As I walk
Along the Dublin in the pet there, you can hear the girls declare, you must be a millionaire. You can hear them sigh, wish to die. See them wink the other eye for the man that broke the bank in Monte Carlo. Once more for Ireland.
All together now.
As I walk along the Dublin in the pet there, you can hear the girls declare, you must be a millionaire. You can hear them sigh, wish to die. See them wink the other eye for the man that broke the bank in Monte Carlo. For the man who broke that bank in County Carlo.
I was just about to go straight into the other song without even talking about it at all, because it comes so naturally out of the end of that one. But I'll tell you something about it first. So we're going to move from the musical, from the vaudeville, to the idea of the concert, or as is very common in Ireland, the concert in the pub, which is kind of usually where it takes place. So we're just going to look very briefly at the Sirens episode in Ulysses, because really that is Dublin in song. It epitomises the whole thing. I mean, not only is it known as the concert chapter, it's formed in the shape of a fugue, like it's actually written like music, but also every character in it is singing, not just in their heads, but actually singing their party piece, singing out loud, singing in the Ormond bar, singing everywhere. The staff, the punters, the passers-by, everyone has a party piece. We're going to sing The Croppy Boy from that episode. It's one of the motifs that moves all the way through and is sung in its entirety by Ben Dollard in Sirens. I mean, there's loads of different choices that we could have taken from Sirens, but I think that's a whole other show that we'll do again some
We come back though.
We can come back to Sirens, yeah. We can come back and do our Thomas Moore show. We loads of shows. But The Croppy Boy was very significant for a lot of different reasons. It was written in the programme in 1904 for the Antient, I never know which, Antient concert rooms in 1904 to be sung by one James Joyce. And I think it was the whole 1898 commemoration, the centenary of the 1798 rebellion was a huge thing for Joyce in his adolescence. There's a whole bit in Portrait where he's talking about Stephen going to see the unveiling of the slab, which I presume is just over there. This is at the corner of Stephen's Green. I presume the unveiling of the slab was where the statue is now. And I'm hearing Maud Gone and Yeats speak at this particular commemoration. Commemorating Wolfe Tone, whose birthday it is today, I believe. 355, where he's still alive. Yeah, so that's enough reasons really to sing it, isn't it? Yeah, I think we'll just go for it. Andrea, you can tell me about this now. Oh, a hat.
Good men and true in this house who dwell, to a stranger buckle I pray you tell, is the priest at home, or may he be seen? I will speak a word with Father Green. The youth has times since last Easter Day. At Mass time once I went to play. I passed the churchyard one day in haste and forgot to pray for my mother's rest. At the siege of Ross did my father fall, at Goring my loving brothers all. I alone am left of my name and race. I will go to Wexford to take their place. I bear no hate against living thing, but I love my country above my king. So Father, bless me and let me go to die, if God has ordained it so. The priest said naught but a rustling noise made the youth look up in wild surprise. The robes were off and in scarlet there stood a yeoman captain with fiery glare, with fiery glare and with fury hoarse. Instead of a blessing he breathed a curse. 'Twas a good boy to come here and strive for one short hour is your time to live. Upon yon river 3 tenders float, the priest's on one if he isn't shot. We hold this house for our Lord and King. Amen. Say I, may all traitors swing. At Geneva barracks that young man died, but passage they have his body laid. Good people who live in peace and joy, breathe a prayer, shed a tear for the poor boy.
Nearly done. You're looking at your watch.
You give 1 hour or
We had to make a decision how we would end, and it's been, I mean, it's so hard to even pick the songs that we wanted to do, and the list is so wonderfully endless, and we've had the pleasure of putting together so many wonderful different, curating, I guess, different versions of shows, from Dubliner shows to Finnegan's Wake shows, and bringing to life all these wonderful songs. But at the end we thought, and inspired by this room this morning, we thought of Joyce's kind of seminal female character, which is Liffey.
Who's the only lady missing from the
Yeah, we thought she should be here. She works pretty hard. She has to get all the way from the Fuka out to the sea. So the river of Dublin is celebrated so beautifully throughout Finnegan's Wake, for all of you who've read it. And so we'll send her out to sea, we'll return to the sea like we started, and we'll also sing one last song, which is Dublin Bay. And this is a song that's used throughout Finnegan's Wake, but it was of particular relevance to Joyce, because his daughter that he adored, Lucia, wrote it out in a letter, all the words to the song. It said, This is you and Mammy leaving. So in 1904, on October 10th, 1904, Joyce finally leaves the city that he adores, Dublin, and he never comes back to live here. He visits a couple of times up until 1912 and then never returns. So himself and Nora Barnacle, who only married years later, set off on this journey from North Wall and the Liffey. So Lucia writes, they must have told her the story 100 times of them leaving Dublin, and she wrote it out describing their leaving. So the music underneath Anna Livia will also be Finnegan's Wake related. It's a beautiful setting of
Samuel Barber's setting of New Valletta, which comes earlier.
Which is a little cloud. And in our Finnegan's Wake show, we start off as a little cloud.
But in great Finnegan's Wake fashion, I've just taken little bits from Samuel Barber.
So you'll have to imagine the little cloud coming down, following the course of the Liffey, gathering pace, getting bigger and ducking under bridges and bell-hopping the weirs. And she goes through the city of Dublin. And now her time is finished. She meets the sea. The river has to meet the sea and go back to her father.
we would have a session of questions and answers. But I would beg the audience's indulgence to perhaps sacrifice some of that time for one more.
We hadn't planned this at all. The song that we're going to sing is from Dubliners, and it's interesting. It was a song called "I'm a Naughty Girl" that the character Polly Mooney sings in the boarding house. And Polly's kind of handy to have. She's the daughter of the madam who runs the boarding house.
It's an all male boarding house.
Pretty much all male, isn't it? So she's kind of handy, nice young thing, flitting around, and just got into a little bit of trouble then somewhere along the line. But it was written originally for a light opera, comic opera, called A Greek Slave. Which I then just found out today that was then Stephen Sondheim kind of took from it, and it was a funny thing happened on the way to the film. Anyway, so lots of fun and rollicks happen in Roman times. But the libretto, or the book as it was called, was written by an Irish Jew called Jimmy Davis, who I think has an address in Stephen's Green. So he lived here on the Green till he was about 6 or 7. I can't figure out the exact dates. So I think for Joyce, to his kind of fascination with the Dublin Jewish community, and to pick this guy out, and he would have been a contemporary of Oscar Wilde as well in London, and he was an old cad, was Jimmy Davis, and he changed his name to Owen Hall, because he owed so much money. He was a gambler and quite the man about town. So in honour of your neighbour somewhere on Jimmy Davis, Owen Hall, we'll sing I'm a Naughty Girl. Oh, I need an umbrella for this one.
You're going to do the intro?
Oh, yeah. On Sunday nights, there would often be a reunion in Mrs. Mooney's front drawing room. The music hall artists would oblige, and Sheridan would play waltzes and polkas and band accompaniments. Polly Mooney, the madam's daughter, would also sing. I'm an imp on mischief bent, only feeling quite content when doing wrong. Sometimes when I've had my fun, I repent of what I've done, but